What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
So Netflix has a few new movies out. I mean, they're constantly putting out new movies. But this one, Velvet Buzzsaw, the unexpected horror movie. I didn't really know going into it much about it at all. Didn't know it was a horror movie necessarily. Saw Jake Gyllenhaal on the poster. So, or the thumbnail, I guess you could say. So I was interested. The Slash Filmcast did a great review of the movie, which I agree with some of the things that they said and some of the things I don't necessarily agree. But it's a horror movie about fine art, high art, I guess, and the killer or the evil thing that makes it a horror movie is that art is the killer. Not a man named Art, but the actual art itself, which I thought was interesting because it was one of the few times watching a horror movie where I was happy at the deaths. Like I just enjoyed the people that got killed. It's a weird horror movie where I'm just on the side of the bad guy winning, which I'm not. It seems like that's what the movie wants you to do, which doesn't really necessarily work for being a horror movie because I was never scared of it. Like I don't go to sleep at night thinking that my artwork is going to kill me. But the movie starts out, so it's like this employee of a gallery, somebody dies in her apartment building, and he's an artist or has a bunch of artwork that he's trying to destroy, but she ends up taking it. And it's one of those things. There's a lot of times in movies where it's like this piece of art is supposed to be transcendent or whatever, and it's supposed to do these things. And it's very similar in this movie where this guy's art is like just so draws people in, and you can't help but look at it. But if you look at it, then it bad things can happen. But the way they handled it's okay. I mean, the art's not specifically like it's whatever. It's decent, but the premise is there, and it starts off that it seems like it's just the art of this particular artist that's killing people, but then throughout the movie, pretty much just any kind of artwork is susceptible to killing you. So, it kind of falls apart as far as the quote unquote logic of the movie kind of breaks down, where it starts out it's supposed to be like this dude's art. It's like it's cursed, or he used his own blood to do some of the shading. But yeah, so she finds this art and she brings it to her boss, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to use this to make millions of dollars." And it's, the artist is dead. We're going to take advantage of this. They run it through past their lawyers, like, make sure that you found this. You say you found this in the dumpsters because they were trying to get rid of it. You didn't go and take it from his apartment. And then it's like, oh, we're just going to release a few of them. It's basically, I don't know, like I make art. I put out a new painting every day. I've done group shows. I've never really worked with galleries. I know that galleries generally take like 50% of whatever, but they also cultivate, they're kind of the link between the artist and the buyers, or the people that curate for buyers, which I'm not a real fan of. I want to have complete control over my stuff. I want the money to go to me. And if I can figure out how to connect directly with people that cultivate art and do, like, if I can bypass having to have half of my money go to somebody else who's just there to sell it, I would prefer that. So the stance that this movie takes, where it's very critical of the art scene, art critics, art shows, all of these things, and how they manipulate the market to drive up prices, and like just all of those kinds of things that I know happen in the quote unquote art world. But not really. I'm not in that kind of aspect of it in any way. I'm very much independent from all of that. And that just kind of stresses me out. Like, it makes me not want to make art, to know that, like, if I want to be quote unquote successful and make a lot of money doing this, I'm going to have to deal with potentially a lot of people that, are, I don't know, rich people, but like snobby. I don't know. This is a whole like kind of mentality, it seems like, that especially in movies portray, like there's a scene in this movie where they're at a show at the gallery, and like you overhear people talk about a piece. And I've even had it when I did art shows at like Ray at Night or just any of my art shows, and people want to know why I did something, or they want to know what it means, like what this painting means. And it's like, I don't always have a specific message when I'm doing a piece, or when I was doing a lot of my surrealism stuff. Like, I would kind of have an overall idea, an overall message that I want to communicate in some way visually, but I don't have like a literal, like, this is meant to be a commentary on environmentalism or whatever. Like, I just like to make things that I feel looked cool, or feel that, work on some kind of level, but not necessarily trying to force a narrative or force opinion on something necessarily. I mean, I've done that, some things I'll do that. Like, Photoshop is a really good medium for me as far as being able to do those sorts of things where I can kind of convey more or add more to uh having more of a message, with, or creating more with intent, and a message. But with art, that's why I went to art history for like 2 classes, and they're trying to tell me what was going through the mind of artists that were making like ancient art, like telling me the difference, like, well, when the thumb's turned out versus turned in versus pointing forward, that means this, that means that. It's like, you don't fucking know anything, man. These are just pictures. Like, that's your interpretation of what you think they might have thought, but by no means can that be. It's the thing with art is it's so, I mean, it's subjective, one, but it's so like up for interpretation that people overthink it so much, to the point where they forget the basic of just like, do you like what it looks like? Is it something, does it make you feel a certain way? Like, how do you react to looking at this thing? And you should know if you like something or not. It's like music. Like, you listen to noises, you're not overly confused with what the meaning of them using that particular instrument in the breakdown. It's like most people don't even know the lyrics to music, but they're very confident in what they like and don't like. That should be easily like relatable to when you look at something, whether you think it's cool, you don't like it, for whatever reason it's not communicating to you, but then there's something that for whatever reason taps into something in your brain that releases dopamine, that makes you feel something, either nervous, reminds you of something, makes you feel happy, makes you feel something. It makes it good art makes you like feel something. And it's not just like a product. But in this movie, it has that kind of viewpoint where, they're doing the thing, but then art starts killing people, and I'm happy. And then it's like, oh, just any kind of art. So, which is still not very well handled in this movie, because art can be anything. It's like these people that wear designer clothes, that's art. They have like live in built, architecture. They drive cars that are artistically made. It's like everything is art. So, but this, I don't know. It kind of falls apart. But it was interesting. It was interesting to see a horror movie where art is the killer. But overall, not a huge fan of Velvet Buzzsaw. That's it for this episode. New episodes come out daily. Subscribe everywhere. Binge the full week over patreon.com/inspireddisorder. Inspireddisorder.com for all of my work. At Ray Taylor for me. Have a great day, everybody. Peace Out!